evening, folks. Welcome to the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. We are live Friday night, January 16th, 2026, to discuss the newest episode of the Fallout Season 2, Episode 5. That's right, people. We're here to talk about Episode 5 of Season 2 of Fallout from Amazon Prime. Yeah, so as always, we have on the panel tonight my trusty co-host, my amazing friend, Mr. Jeff S. TrueKnowledge. How we doing, Jeff?
I'm holding down the panel, sir, by myself, and it's good. It's been a while, but it's honestly not that big of a deal, so I'm good. I'm pretty good with it.
Excellent, excellent. So good to have you on the panel and holding down the panel. Of course, our other usual guest co-host, Mr. Andres, the pop culture guy, he is not here tonight. He is off watching the Bone Temple, so he will be back on Wednesday with us. So he will return. Just he's not here tonight. But anyways, this episode of Fallout happens to be named The Wrangler. That's right, The Wrangler, which is kind of interesting. Because when I think of Wrangler, I either think of jeans, or like a horse wrangler or something like that. So I feel like maybe, because there's a little bit of like, kind of people trying to get people into places they want to go. Maybe that's why they call it the Wrangler. But, I think that name is pretty interesting and funny. But anyways, so episode 5. So we're halfway through the season because this will be only 8 episodes. We're on the 5th episode, leaving only 3 episodes left. Where are you at, Jeff, with the series now that we're into episode 5? How do you feel about the series and kind of where are you at? And are you hoping for more out of it with the next 3 episodes?
Yes, I think that I probably am looking for just I guess some proper filling out, kind of, if you will, of the rest of the season. In these last couple of episodes, I'm hoping for just sort of like the plot lines to kind of work their way towards some kind of like goalpost, some sort of like endpoint, sort of like kind of give the show some direction. I feel like between the flashbacks and the whole apocalyptic feel of the show, and the whole reality of people living in vaults and living in the wastelands and things of that nature. I feel like as opposed to the first season, this season's been kind of really all over the place. And there hasn't been a lot of direction, with all the different storylines that you're working with kind of in the show, contained in the show, I'd like, for instance, with like the flashback stuff, like I'd like to see that kind of like, work its way towards, kind of like a final, point or something like that, like I feel like they're just kind of churning kind of almost with those flashbacks. And I'm just wondering where it's leading, like, what it's accomplishing. They mentioned cold fusion in this episode, that's mentioned in other episodes too, of the show, as like technology that's still like, in demand or whatever, yeah, I mean, I like Fallout overall. Like, I like the games, I like the show, I like all the really excellent attention to detail to the games. They've done such an excellent job, encompassing the games on screen, and making that work in the television world. So I mean, I applaud the show because I think it has a lot of really good stuff going on with it. I just think that it's less, it's not structured quite the way that season 1 was as a show. And so it's just not quite as cohesive for me this season. Really like, what the overall plot is supposed to be, at times. That's pretty much it, sir. That's pretty much all I have to say about Fallout.
All right, sir. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think this season I've actually enjoyed a little bit more than season 1 overall, even though does seem to go off into these tangents of of a lot of flashbacks. I get where you're coming from, where you get that kind of thought process. Whereas, there is a lot of like back and forth between certain things. And so sometimes it can become confusing. So I get that. Overall, though, I think that the story itself, the thought process and kind of how they're moving it forward, I've really enjoyed this season a little more because you're getting more out of it. You're getting more of the creatures from the games. You're getting more of things going on that were different than the first season. So I think we're getting a lot of great stuff in this season that we weren't getting in the first season.
Yeah. The incorporation of the creatures, and anytime they can bring in guns or weapons, or something like that, like they did in episode 5, right? With that power fist deal that Lucy found in that shop. That's always great. That's great fan service, when they can make that happen. The death claws are great,
Definitely agree. Yeah. So I think that, for me, going into this 5th episode and this just having watched this 5th episode overall, I think this has been a really fantastic season. We all know from last week's review, I didn't care too much for last episode, and I thought this episode was a lot better. I enjoyed it more. I thought it was more entertaining, and I thought it had a lot more to give than that last episode did. So I definitely am back up into the Fallout universe here with this episode. I thought it just was a more superior episode. So yeah, that's where I am at with, Fallout itself. It's been a really fun second season, and I've been impressed with how they have changed it and how I think it's been a little more entertaining this season versus the first one. Because in the first season, you really had to kind of get to know everyone. And so this season, they have a little more liberty to kind of go into other things because we have now introduced all these characters and we know who these characters are. So I appreciate that they are doing that and that they're giving us more and giving us different characters and moving us along through the series. So I think they're doing a pretty good job, I think. All right. Excellent. So The Wrangler, like I said, is directed by Liz Friedlander, written by Owen Ellickson, and is the 5th, I said, in this season. It's the 13th episode overall of the Fallout series. And this has been a fun series to be talking about and watching and all that kind of good stuff. So I think, it being really fresh on my mind right now, just having finished it is such a nice thing compared to the last couple weeks. Because I feel like I had watched it earlier and it wasn't as fresh. So it was nice to have it more fresh in the mind today. All right. So going into this episode, in 2077, Kate Williams orders Cooper to kill House and retrieve her cold fusion device. He agrees only to recover the device, saying that he wasn't going to kill anybody, that he'd be able to retrieve the device, stop the exchange without killing somebody. Cooper and Barb, a younger Hank, travel to the Lucky 38 in Las Vegas, where Cooper meets the real House, who plans to use the device to survive indefinitely after concluding nuclear war is inevitable, caused by the unknown third party rather than himself or Vault-Tec. So we'll stop there. We also have that beginning sequence where we left off, last episode, with the Ghoul and Lucy and the three creatures that they have to evade. And we get that great opening where all of a sudden we find out there's three of them there, and they basically run and duck and hide, and then run and slide under a door to get away from them. So, which I think was quite interesting. Excuse me. All right, so Jeff, what are your thoughts, sir, on that portion of the episode, leading up to House explaining to the Ghoul, or Howard before he becomes a Ghoul, about how he wants to use the device for himself, and that there's an unknown third party that's really the real cause of the nuclear attack.
Oh wow, they really that episode synopsis jumped that far into the episode that quickly, huh? Wow. That's deep into the flashbacks, like later on in the episode when Mr. House talks to Howard. But I can talk about it though, because we've had this happen before during other Fallout episodes, so I know how to handle it. Well, as far as the Deathclaw stuff goes, I don't know, it was almost a little bit too easy for them to just I don't know, crawl under a truck or, whatever it was, or a fence or whatever, and just, sneak off, I mean, I definitely would agree that, running away from Deathclaws is probably, a good decision, in the games. They're definitely, the most deadly of all the creatures in the games that you can possibly bump into or come across is a Deathclaw. They will kill, they do kill you, if they get a hold of you, they just pummel you basically, till you're dead. Cause they're so strong. You usually don't just find one of them either. It's usually more than one when you come across them. So they're super dangerous. And you really have to really fucking level up into the game to be able to shoot them and take them down, and actually kill them, it takes a while to play the game to get good enough, to be able to do that. They're tough to take down and kill. The kind of weapons that the Ghoul and Lucy have on the show, honestly, they really can't fight a Deathclaw with what they have. You got to have some real firepower for Deathclaws, it doesn't hurt to have really big ammunition too, long ammunition too is always good. Big bullets for Deathclaws. There's some really, really nice rifles in the game that I hope that they show more of in the show, that you can get as weapons that you can choose from, as a player. As far as going into what's going on with Cooper Howard, or whatever his name is, and the whole cold fusion deal and Mr. House and all that, their dialogue is interesting, I guess, but we still only know so much about Mr. House, really. Honestly, I never really I never learned that much about him in the games. I don't remember, at least anyways, really knowing that much about him. In the games, he's like a robot. He's not even a real person. So, this element of him in real life, is a totally different deal and totally new concept. And yeah, I mean, I'm not really sure, like what's going on, with the whole like flashback backstory, deal they have going on in the show. I'm not really sure where that's going. Like, I don't know who the like silent person is the house is talking about or whatever. I don't totally understand, like, like why the war happens, like I don't completely get all that, yet, and I'm sure they'll explain all that, in future episodes. But yeah, I'm not really sure. I really wasn't sure what to make of the dialogue with Howard, and Mr. House. Besides the fact that Mr. House is like super creepy, man, like as a character, like he's super fucking like weirdo, like creepy, especially when he put that helmet on. That was really weird. But I like the Mr. Handy robots that he has as a guard. Those things are really cool. The Mr. Handy bots, they're neat. I'm glad that they brought them over from the game because they're really cool. And that's pretty much it, Cyber.
All right, sir. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think that this kind of opening portion into that flashback is really fun. I loved all the conversation with Howard and Mr. House. I thought it was great. I love Justin Theroux as an actor. I thought he plays House as creepy as hell so well, and he just was really good at playing the character. I really enjoyed it. That beginning sequence, I have to agree. I was like really shocked at how quick that Death Claw scene was. I was expecting more out of it. I was a little disappointed at that, but other than that, I thought it was interesting that there was 3 of them that they have to evade. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But I thought they looked really cool. They looked really fun. And, them escaping underneath that door, I thought was really cool.
I mean, I think they were keeping them from being able to get into a building that they wanted to get into or something like that. Wasn't that what was happening?
That I don't know. If that's the case, I wouldn't be surprised. That might be the building where, her dad, Lucy's dad, is, and maybe he uses the Rancors as a defense there or something. I don't know. But they haven't explained that at all. They don't explain that in the episode, at least. But yeah, that's definitely they were in the way of where they were trying to go, most definitely. So that was interesting. I think that kind of, in this section too, after we get them into the marketplace of Vegas and everything like that, I thought that was an interesting little section too as well. Him going off and drinking, and then her going to find that stuff to get off the meds and stuff like that, so she's not addicted to them anymore. Thought that was kind of interesting. But like that whole intro of him going to see Mr. House and everything, and he gets called by that lady in the phone booth. I thought that was really fun, very retro, like 50s, 60s style. And him saying, "Yeah, I could do it without killing anybody." I thought was really fun. And him heading to that, to the place where he's going to do it, and he sees that congresswoman, and who he helps up to her feet. And that actress, she's been in a whole bunch of things over the last like 5-6 years. She was in Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Homecoming, when they go on the math-a-thon, and she is the person in the elevator with them that's given the tour of the Sky Needle, or the Washington Monument, which was funny. And then she also was in that TV show Baskets with Zach Galifianakis as one of the main characters on the show. She was like this friend of his that he was loosely supposed to be like in love with. And so it was funny seeing her in a different type of role, but I think she does a good job of playing that senator character, I think, or congresswoman, I should say. Very interesting. But I think that part was, kind of interesting, like kind of give you more of the politics of what's going on in the Fallout world and stuff like that. So I thought that was a cool little thing to talk about. And And other than that, though, I think that leading up to kind of where I left off, with that whole House and Howard thing, I think that whole sequence was my favorite part of the episode. I loved it. I thought it was so fun. The dialogue back and forth. He puts on the helmet and shit was super funny. And I just absolutely loved it. I thought it was so darn cool. And like, I thought it was a great way of getting to see more of Justice Row, getting to know more about Mr. House, kind of who he was before he became a robot and stuff like that. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was very well done.
He's not a robot. He's like a computer or something like that in the games. In New Vegas, he's not a robot. He's a computer. I think. Kind of like Arnim Zola from Captain America: Winter Soldier. You know?
Yeah.
Same deal. You know what I'm saying?
And it could be kind of considered a robot a little bit, but yeah, I get what you mean. Computer, most definitely, it's like a computer.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So he should, instead of Mr. House, should be called Mr. Computer. Anyways,
well, that's for whatever reason, like that that's the decision he makes is to digitize himself or whatever, like that's how he decides to go, handle the end of the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. So yeah, that's interesting that he ends up becoming that computer in the games, and it'll be interesting to see him turn into the series as well. So it'll be interesting to see what ends up with that.
I mean, I don't know, I don't know how much they're going to show in this season, but in the games, New Vegas has still functioning, operating casinos and stuff like that. That you can still go to and gamble at, in real time, in the wastelands or whatever, in that reality, they still have gambling, and Mr. House still owns casinos and stuff like that,
Cool. Yeah, I've never played the game. I've briefly played demos of the game, but never actually played games. But I've heard a lot of good things about the games. A lot of people like it, think it's a really good game.
They're very expansive. They're very very, very expansive RPG, games. That's all they really are. They're just really big, big map, big world, RPG style games.
Yep. Yeah, very, very, very cool. All right. So back to the synopsis here. So next it says in 2296, Norm and Vault Tech executives reach the ruins of the company's headquarters, where Norm uncovers information about the forced evolutionary virus before being strangled by Ronnie after learning he lied. Lucy and the Ghoul escape Deathclaws on the New Vegas Strip and settle in Freeside, which is the beginning of the episode. I don't get why they even have.
they do that.
All right. We'll stop there. So let's talk about the Vault people here and Norm and everything. This was crazy, insane. I thought this whole sequence, all these crazy people that they encounter and all that kind of stuff. And we have, they're all very hillbillyish looking and type like that shit. And they got creatures growing in places and stuff like that. It's quite interesting, this section here. What are your thoughts, sir, on that section and all that kind of craziness that happens with, ends up with, Norm being strangled by Ronnie after he learned he lied?
I mean, it's the whole Norm and the Vaultee storyline is kind of, I'm not quite sure where it's going. It's somewhat interesting, I guess. I was really intrigued by how they managed to find that Vault Tech building like that. That was really, really slick of them, to find that in the wasteland. I was kind of shocked they were able to do that, but they did. Right down to the office that Howard's wife used to have, at Vault Tech, right? With her computer and everything. That was crazy. I'm a fan of Norm. like as a character on the show. You know, like I liked that they devoted some time to that storyline in this episode. You know, that they actually gave that storyline a little bit of juice. You know, because they really haven't done a lot with it in other episodes lately. So I like that. I enjoyed the Voltec stuff. The Volty stuff. You know, the old woman. You know that Norm bumps into. We saw her in like the first episode of the show. Or like the second episode of the show. When Lucy met her. You know. You know, and she was trying to smuggle. You know, the guy. You know, or whatever, you know, and the ghoul popped up, you know, so, you know, we're seeing her again, and, you know, she tells Norm that she thinks Lucy's dead, you know, because she doesn't think that Lucy survived the wastelands, you know, and obviously she's wrong, you know, but, you know, there's, no Maximus, no Brotherhood of Steel stuff at all in this episode. You know, they totally ditched that storyline for this episode, which surprised me. But they really they cut that out completely and dedicated, you know, all this episode more to flashbacks, you know, and Ghoul and Lucy stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much all I can really say about the stuff with the Voltees. I mean, you know, they're aware now that Norm is not who he says he was, you know, so that's obviously not good for Norm, right? He got choked out. That was pretty crazy. You know, but you know, that chick is cute that he was talking to at the Voltec headquarters or whatever, you know, that chick is really cute. You know, I don't want to buy any views from Streambo. Anyways, but yeah, that's it pretty much, Cyber.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I mean, I was like kind of blown away by that sequence a little bit, and like poor Norm getting choked out. I was like, oh, this is bullshit. Like, why are you choking out one of my favorite characters? I absolutely love Norm. I love that actor from Hannah Montana. He's absolutely freaking hilarious. And so it's fun seeing him like as an adult. It's kind of interesting seeing him acting as an adult. But I love that character Norm because I think it's an interesting character that has a lot of potential to be very interesting. And you know, unfortunately, with the first season and this season so far, they really haven't given him much screen time. It's always more focused on Lucy, you know. And I think that if they gave a little more time to him, he'd really knock it out of the park and give us some really great, interesting stuff. And you know, the whole situation he's dealing with is kind of like interesting at the same time too, because you're like thinking to yourself, I'm like, all these crazy cooped up people that have been frozen for many years, you're like, ooh, they're not a good bunch. I mean, they've been frozen this long. Who knows what the fuck happened to them, like being frozen that long. So, you know, it's been interesting to see how they are acting and reacting and stuff like that so far since they've been unfrozen. And, you know, right here, right away, we can see that this kind of craziness that just ensued in this episode with, you know, poor Norm being choked out. So I think that was quite interesting. But yeah, other than that, yeah, there wasn't too much to it. It was pretty, you know, basic. It wasn't anything that great, but overall, I think that it gave kind of a little bit of extension to the story of Norm. So I think at least they got that done.
It was inevitable that Norm was going to get found out anyway, because I mean, you know, he really didn't have any answers for those people, like as far as like what, you know, what they were supposed to be doing, you know, like, you know, now that they're woken up, you know what I mean? So he was pretty much going to get found out no matter what.
Yep, that is true. That is very true. That he would get figured out at some point. And, you know, I'm surprised it took that long. It took that long to, you know, to get to the 5th episode for him to be found out. So I think that's pretty quick. All right. So moving on from there brings us to Hank kidnaps a California snake oil salesman and plants a control chip and uses him to summon the ghoul, offering the safety of the ghoul's family in exchange for Lucy's return to Vault 33. The ghoul reveals he brought Lucy to negotiate with Hank. Feeling betrayed, Lucy punches him out the window, impaling him to a pole before being sedated as Hank arrives. So that's pretty much kind of that final portion of the episode. Which, you know, I think that the whole California snake oil salesman thing, absolutely thought that was hilarious. Especially that like intro to him, and he's like walking along, and it seems like all hunky dory. Then all of a sudden he's like having to kill some radioactive bug of some sort. He's like die, 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 which was pretty fucking funny. And you know, then he like makes his way, and he's talking to some robot, and that's when Hank pops up, and you know, he's like, I love how he's like, why don't you be a perv like every other normal perv? Go watch somewhere else. And then he like basically locks him out with a crowbar, and you're like, oh shit. And then as is going on, I love how like he wakes up and he's got that implant thing into his neck, and we think that as he's like messing with him, is his head gonna explode like everyone else, and it doesn't. And you're like, oh shit, that's insane. Like, wow, you're like, whoa, Hank actually fixed it. He actually perfected it. Holy shit, that's awesome. So I think that was really cool. I think that was really interesting portion. And, you know, as that's going on, then we go back to kind of that back and forth, you know, of the ghoul between, you know, present and past and stuff like that too. You know, and we have that like scene where he's riding the bull and shit like that too, which I thought was like so unnecessary for the episode. I was like, what the hell is it? You know, and then his wife's there, and you know, taking, you know, after he's like something happened to him while he's on the thing, and then he's laying there, and she's like dabbing him with something. He's like, we gotta talk, and it's kind of like, oh, okay, all right, okay, yeah. I'm like, oh, all right. That it just was. I feel like it could have been either edited out better, or it just I thought that was kind of interesting. They decided to have that whole soliloquy there with the bull riding and crap. Thought that was kind of interesting. So, Mr. Jeff, what are your thoughts, sir, on that section? The snake oil salesman being controlled by a chip, and then you know, Lucy being betrayed by the ghoul to keep his family happy, and kind of that final portion of the end there after he gets hit out the window on the pole. And we're seeing those flashbacks still of him with his wife, and him saying, basically the episode ending with him saying, we need to talk.
Yeah. I mean, you know, as far as, the snake oil salesman guy, yeah, he was a neat little, addition to the episode. And, you know, that was, neat that you know, Bud was able to figure out how to get his chip thing to work on his neck, you know, and he got that all worked out. You know, that was cool that, you know, he sent him to like, you know, work out the deal with the ghoul. I like that, you know, rather than doing it himself. I'm assuming that the ghoul survived that impalement somehow, you know, I don't know how, but I'm assuming that he survives that, because I doubt they would kill him off. You know, I'd be shocked if he was gone all of a sudden, this episode, you know, so I'm assuming he'll survive that somehow. You know, there's so many potions and, you know, things, you know, you could med packs and stuff you could take out there, you know, to fix injuries, you know, so, I'm sure he'll get that worked out. You know, and, yeah, you know, Bud found Lucy, so like I guess he's gonna, you know, take her and put her in the vault again or whatever, you know. I guess is his goal, you know. I'm assuming, which will be you know, interesting. If Lucy goes back to the vault, you know, that will be cool. You know, I didn't know that there were any like still, you know, like active functioning vaults that were still going. I didn't realize that there were any. So, you know, that's interesting, I guess. Yeah, I don't know what to make of the Howard Cooper riding the bulls scene. Like, that was really kind of like, like overdoing it almost. It was weird. It came out of nowhere. And then he's just like drinking all this alcohol, like all crazy, like, like drinking out, like, dumping the alcohol on his face and shit, and everything, and goes into the bar and he's drinking all these drinks, like every drink he sees, he's grabbing them and drinking them, that was a little bit like crazy. It was a little bit too much, but yeah, I liked seeing Lucy use that power fist deal that she had there, and that was pretty cool. I like that. She really jacked the ghoul up, and I think I've been to that hotel before in New Vegas in the game. That's pretty much it, Cyber.
Okay. Do you feel that that overall that kind of that ending with Howard saying we need to talk with his wife, do you have it yet? You have no thoughts on that at all?
No, not really.
Not really. Okay. Do you feel that the episode ended and segued into the next episode very well, or no?
You mean did this episode segue well into whatever will be the next episode?
Yes.
I suppose. I mean, we'll have to see what happens in the next episode. To really be able to, tell how well it segues. I mean, I'm assuming that, Howard and his wife are going to talk about whatever's really going on with Voltec, like whatever dirt there is, she would know. So that's probably what they're going to talk about. So I mean, yeah, if that's going to happen in this episode, like that would be good. I'd like that, so I'm not really sure though, as far as like how well it's going to segue. We'll have to see.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I mean, I think that like I said, that ending, I thought it wasn't anything that really it leaves you wondering, but at the same time, it leaves you, kind of like, that's how you're gonna end it. Like it, we last see him like, as the ghoul, he's on the pole and he's fucked up, for being smashed by, Lucy onto the pole. But other than that, it's kind of like, okay, all right. That's an interesting way to end the episode. But I think there was, I just feel like they could have ended it a little better. I felt myself. But overall, I think the episode in a whole was really good. I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was really fun. Like I said, I think the House and Howard stuff was really great.
That's a really short episode synopsis that it gave you. Wikipedia gave you.
Yep, it did. Yeah, it was like literally like what, 4 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs.
Wow, yeah, that was short.
Yeah, I mean, because that's pretty much everything that happened in the episode. That we.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about Fallout. It has that pace to it, where not a lot will really happen in an episode,
Yep. I think that overall, though, I think it gets the message across very well. I think that, it definitely was an episode that didn't feel fillerish. It felt to me like it actually was, moving the story along, especially because, I feel like even though we've seen kind of Hank in the other episodes, we really haven't had too much time with him. And so having so much time with him in this episode was great, because him being kind of the main villain, besides Mr. House, we had that great kind of like more comeuppance of what, Hank's up to, wanting, to put Lucy back in Vault 33 and all this kind of stuff. So I think they did a good job there with that. So what would you give the episode, sir? What would you rate the episode by?
Oh, you know what? I'd say probably maybe a 7. Yeah, 7. I'd say, Cyber.
Okay. I'm gonna give this episode myself a 9. Like I said, I thought this was a better episode than the last episode. I really enjoyed it a lot more, and I thought it was just really overall fun. I mean, that beginning sequence could have been so much better. It could have had actual like fighting and all this kind of stuff in it. And as you mentioned, them having better weapons would have probably made that even more interesting and more fun, and entertaining in a way if they were able to fight the Death Claws. Death Claws being, one of the fiercest creatures in the game too, as well. You think you would want to show them fighting them, kind of like how they did in last episode. They had that beginning sequence. We kind of had them getting fought with, but really not getting anywhere with the fighting that they were doing. Those first prototype suits of, that the Brotherhood of Steel were making were pretty hilarious, 200 years prior. So I think it's also interesting how we keep going from 200 years between. And you look at Hank. I look at Hank, and I wonder to myself, I'm like, if he's been out in the air for all that 200 years, why hasn't he aged that much? Why doesn't he look like a 200-year-old man?
Because he was in a frozen state or whatever. Cryogenics.
He was in a frozen state.
For a long time he was in like a frozen state, and then he woke up in the vault. Was the head of the vault. Like he was in the beginning of the show.
Okay. I didn't realize. I forgot about that. So yeah. Okay. So that would reason why he'd be so. He wouldn't have aged so much. Because I didn't realize he was. I forgot that he had been frozen before. So, but that was just something that came to my mind as I was watching it, going, "Wow, he really hasn't aged much since those flashbacks 200 years ago." I'm like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, all the people in the flashbacks are in some way, like whether it was through freezing or whatever, survived.
Yep. So yeah, excellent. Awesome. All right. So do you have anything else you'd like to say about the episode, sir?
No, I'm good, sir. We can do your plugs and get out of here.
All right, sir. Then I will turn it over to you.
Here, go ahead.
All right, folks. So if you enjoy me as a moderator on this episode, or on any episode, or if you enjoy me on the panel, you can check out my solo content. You'll find me under Cyberneticshark. My homepage, of course, is YouTube. As you can see there, still my most recent review is Black Phone 2. If you haven't seen that, check it out. My most recent mini review, of course, are of a few films I recently saw. Greenland 2, of course, and a few other Sora AIs. If you haven't seen those, check those out. Especially my great lightsaber duel with Jake Paul. Super hilarious. If you haven't seen that, check that out. So if you haven't checked out those influencer ones, definitely check those out too. Very interesting films on Shudder. I'll be having more content up for you guys soon. Eventually, all that kind of good stuff. So keep your eyes out for that kind of cool stuff. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Keep on subscribing. Keep on watching all this other creators that are on here. Keep watching us here on the MCU's Bleeding Edge. And we appreciate it, guys. You guys are rocking it.
Okay. So we are out of here. We'll be back on Wednesday night for Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah.
So thank you, Cyber. We're out of here. Later, folks. Peace.